profit, I want to walk you through a very basic formula for profit. This is important because it will help you sell your marketing initiatives internally and help you prioritize what you should be working on. It's really quite simple. Profit equals revenue minus expenses, but we can expand this to understand what drives revenue and what drives expenses. So now we have profit equals average price times quantity minus average cost times quantity. I prefer the simpler version of this. In other words, price minus cost times quantity. So you see, there are really only three ways to increase profit. Change the price, change the cost, or change the quantity sold. It's really that simple. Everything you do as a marketer can be tied back to these three simple things that drive profit. Let's elaborate. As a marketer, you are usually focused on generating more revenue. Marketers aren't as interested in the cost side of the equation. So to increase revenue, there are two approaches. You can either sell more or you can raise prices. Raising prices is a pretty simple task, but selling more is a bit more complicated. To sell more, you can either get more customers, increase the frequency of transactions, or increase the size of transactions. All of these help you sell more and hence increase revenue. If we go a layer deeper, there are actually two ways to get more customers. You can acquire more, or you can increase retention so that more customers stay. Either of these will increase your customer base. So this is basically a summary of what you're trying to do as a marketer. Increase revenue in all these various ways. Whatever decisions you make, whether it's running a TV campaign or shifting focus to a different target customer, you need to tie it back to one or more of these drivers. Now, I'd like to go even more advanced with this analysis because, you see, the purpose of a company is not to generate as much profit as possible. It is to have a high return on investment. In other words, a company's purpose is to be efficient at generating profit, not simply to generate as much profit as possible. Let me explain. Let's say your company has a ton of cash, millions of dollars. The company could invest it in the stock market and get a 10% return on that cash. It could also give it back to shareholders and let them spend it. Maybe they could invest it at 11% return. The third option is that the company could take that money and invest it back in the company itself. But what if investing back in the company itself would only generate a 5% return? Well, that's awful, because the company would have been better off investing in the stock market or simply giving the money back to shareholders. The company cannot be efficient at generating profit in this situation, so it shouldn't focus on generating profit. It should instead allocate money outside the company. That may lead to less profit for the company, but it leads to a better return for the shareholders of the company. There is one situation where companies are efficient at generating profit. This is where the return on capital is greater than the cost of capital. In other words, this is where the company has a competitive advantage. And there are basically just two types of competitive advantage: customer captivity and economies of scale. So as an advanced marketer, you're interested in a couple of things. The first is generating profit, which usually boils down to increasing revenue. The second is maintaining focus where competitive advantages exist. So for example, acquiring customers who are captive and ensuring that economies of scale are achieved in marketing efforts. Advanced marketing doesn't just mean spending money so long as a profit is generated. Advanced marketing is about investing in areas where competitive advantages exist and building those competitive advantages.